All right. So, yeah, y'all seen from the short earlier that I'm dealing with some home internet problems. Um, but I already know what it is. So, basically, here's what's all unfolding right now. Um, I got home from work, probably no somewhere around like 1:30 p.m., something like that. Then I go, I think to myself, I feel like watching a movie, right? So I then go to, connect to, my Wi Fi. My phone connects to the Wi Fi, but yet I realize for whatever reason, there's no internet access. Even though it's showing it's connected to the Wi Fi router, it's also stating that there's no internet access. And for those of you who are wondering what is this sticking out of my head, this is a grounding device that I made. Got the idea from Tony Pantalaresco. Basically, what it is, it's neodymium magnets that are basically taped together, but they're repelling. This, it looks weird, but this is actually copper tape. So what I did was I used copper tape to wrap around the neodymium magnets as I stacked them on top of each other, repelling each other. Then I have a alligator clamp that is entwined with copper wire, two alligator clamps, and this here. Let me check the. Okay, yeah. So on the other end is basically a piece of metal. Now, what happens is, and I've said this many times in other videos, what you do, this part, the copper magnet part, it has to make contact with the skin. If it doesn't make contact with the skin, you're not going to draw out any energy. And that's the whole purpose of this. It's a portable grounding device. So anywhere that you literally feel energy pressure or pains that you can sense that's coming from a frequency, anything that deals with electrical conductivity, because remember, they basically turn our entire bodies into highly conductive antennas. I mean, our brain works like, a AM, FM, AM receiver anyway, but it also works as a natural antenna as well. So what I do is, for me, what they consistently do is they have the infrared beam that basically comes down through the crown, and it's heating up the midbrain. It's heating up the, what is that, the thalamus, the I think that's the thalamus that's in there, the pineal gland, basically all those other little mid intricate parts of, I thought I heard my mother call me. But anyway, it's heating up all those mid intricate parts of the brain. So what I do is they say the third eye is here, right? So what I do is I basically make sure it makes contact with the skin in the forehead. And what it does, it once it makes contact, it draws the energy to the wire, and then the wire then disperses the energy through that metal piece. But anyway, so but besides that, I use healing frequencies through frequency generator apps, preferably, and more importantly, you should always try to use um for the maximum effect. You want to try to use your frequency generator app when you're not connected to anything. Um, but at the same time, um, yeah, you're still on an electronic device. They're using the satellites to basically see everything that's well in the world, every object and every person. So when you can do everything that you can, but if it's an electronic device, that thing is going to be used as a weapon against you because it gives off an electromagnetic field of radiation. It gives off electromagnetic radiation. But anyway, so yeah, I come in, I'm not getting any internet, so I'm like, maybe they're blocking me from accessing, a specific website that I was trying to watch a movie or whatever. So then I go to my desktop and I check the desktop, but then I realize there's no internet access on the desktop. It's showing it's connected to the Wi-Fi, but there's no internet connectivity. So I'm like, okay. Um, with that being said, um, so I'm like, I spent like probably about probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, talking to different Optimum, representatives, and they all try to troubleshoot on their end, what could possibly be happening as far as the internet connectivity. Now, the strange thing is, right? I had a At one point, one of the representatives told me asked me if I had another Ethernet cord to connect the modem to the router, and I said yeah. So I found one, and now they're basically yeah. Anytime you see me pinching, like if you ever see me pinch right by my ear, two things happen, or two things are happening. One, they're transmitting they're basically transmitting data to my brain that's supposed to be picked up through the cochlea, and then once the cochlea receives it, then it's going to be converted from like I guess frequency to electrical impulse so that the brain can then resonate with it. The second thing that's happening is once I feel the frequency, it's like a high pitched tone. It's go whee. It's real quick. It go whee, and then sometimes it'll last for a few minutes. It could last for like maybe about 2-3 minutes, but it never lasts that long. And there's a pressure. It's not just a sound, but there's a pressure that goes into the ear, and it could happen to either one of the ears, either one. It's not tinnitus. Don't let no one tell you that it's tinnitus, because think about it like this. I'm gonna explain it to you very, very as plain as day. I'm gonna explain it to you as plain as I possibly can. Sound and light both have a mass. They both have a weight. Even at the quantum scale, there is a mass or a weight to both sound and light. I can literally put my palm, and remember your hands are probably the most underrated tools of your entire body. Your hands give off energy. It's giving off the energy that's flowing from your body, right? Now, I can turn my palm upwards and I can feel, you see where my thumb is pressing against? Every time I do that, I am actually pinching a frequency that is connected to my brain. Now, the only reason it would look crazy to some people is because they have no real understanding that there's a whole spectrum of light and sound that you cannot see and you cannot hear. But thanks to the understanding of quantum energy, and then also many spiritual cultures speak on the fact that even though you can't see it or hear it, that doesn't mean you can't sense or feel it. So there is a frequency connected to the brain, right? But this frequency here, that is a part of the light. That is like probably far or mid infrared. I have a thermal near infrared camera here, but it's not necessarily detecting it. So I'm assuming that it's either far or mid infrared. Um, and when I pull up like that, like when I pull up, when I pinch and pull up, it feels like I'm actually pulling something out of my brain, and then not even just that, but something around the sinus area and then the midbrain. It feels like something's being released off of, like there's pressure on the inside, in the midbrain and in the sinus area. But when I pull up, it feels as if I just lifted something off of that section of my brain, or that section of my head. Right now, that's just the light. That's the light. The sound. The sound is, they call it infrasound, right? That even has a weight to it too, or a mass. Now, so let's say in in that instance, when they sent when I felt the high pitched tone, right? It was not only just the sound that I was able to acknowledge, but it was also the pressure that went into the ear, almost as if, like, not like a regular full size Q-tip, but it almost felt as if, like, someone took something small, thin, but it wasn't like intense pain, or really not much pain, not pain at all, honestly. But it was just pressure. It was like the pressure, like something pushing against the eardrum, right? So now, if I do this, so you see, I pinched in front of the ear canal, right? As I pull away from my head, it feels as if there's two things happening. One, there's a pressure of, I would say, it's energy going around and through the hole in my hand, right? Like the hole here, this hole. And then also, they doing this, I can feel the pulse, or kind of like the wave or the beat of the frequency pulsing in between my fingers. Not only that, but pulling away from the head, gland, pressure release. Side of the head, pressure release. Top of the head, pressure release. Only on the right side. Inside of the ear, pressure release. So it's like I'm trying to, like I'm not a professional or expert or anything. Um, like I don't even understand most of the things that I'm able to sense. And look, I could care less of all the game stalkers and all the people trying to basically discredit or demoralize or whatever. I could care less about all of them. God knows exactly what he made me to be. So I'm just like, I may not fully understand it, but I know exactly what I feel, and I'm certain, I'm 100% certain there's a way to explain every single thing I'm doing. And I promise you, as long as I'm still breathing, I am going to continue to divulge as much information as I can. They're going to try to take me out. They're going to try to do everything they can. They're going to try to see if they can set me up to go to prison. So now as I'm sitting here making this video, they have a frequency coming from this angle. It's coming from this angle, but is it it's not necessarily coming from the phone, or is it coming from the phone? So basically what I did was, there was a frequency coming from this angle, going into the heart. So I pinch that frequency, and as I backtrack it, I can follow it. Now, a lot of times, you can if you can feel the frequency vibrating in your hand, you can do one of two things. You can either backtrack it to a specific device, something that's electronic that's nearby you, or you may actually be able to track it, and then you will find it connect to basically the main beam that's connected to your brain. That's the one thing. It's like, consider it like this: every single human being in a developed country is basically um like a tower, or like a cell tower, or let's call it the Statue of Liberty. Every single person has a node. you know and what they basically do is, via satellite or these digital twin cell towers. And trust me, all you gotta do is look up digital twinning, and you'll realize you can actually replicate a physical cell tower probably dozens of times, and then probably use the satellites to plant it, and then they'll probably be able to operate just like any regular, physical cell tower, but it's just digital. You won't necessarily be able to see it, but if you use specific software or hardware, you could probably, you not even probably, because I've been doing this, you can actually find where those signals are coming from, or at least be within a certain range of where the signals are coming from. New York City is considered a smart city, so you know there's thousands, and I mean thousands, of these digital twin cell towers. And let's be real, all of the agencies that's, within the United States, they're all infiltrated by the cabal. They're all infiltrated, and they're all basically operating to do one thing and one thing only: depopulate, socially engineer, and continue to hoard and, um, well, yeah, maintain their power over the world. I mean, fearmonger and everything. But whatever. But yeah, so yeah, I basically found that frequency, whatever. Now, as far as the modem, so I'm like, okay. I took my hand. I said, let me check something, because I was like, I done unplugged the modem, let it stay unplugged for like 30 seconds. Plugged it back in, still didn't work. I said, okay, let me try the Wi-Fi router. Unplug the Wi-Fi router, let that be off for about 30 seconds. Still nothing. So then I said, let me try something else. So what I did, I took my hand, and let's say this is the modem, right? I took my hand and I went over it like this. And in my palm, I could actually feel the it's like I can feel the energy and the pressure of something coming down against my hand, or actually trying to go through my hand, and then going towards the cable modem. So the first thing I thought was, interferometry, or if not interferometry, electromagnetic interference. So yeah, I mean, I was not gonna let this, stress me out, because I already know my mom. She allows herself to become stressed because she refused to acknowledge. Um, she refuses to acknowledge how these people work. You know, even though she's been targeted, for a very long time, but she's technologically, um, well, yeah, she just doesn't really know much about technology, and she doesn't necessarily want to recognize exactly what they're capable of, because she feels like, based on her faith, she's giving the devil more power than he deserves. But I'm just thinking to myself, I don't see it as giving the devil more power. I actually see it as taking more power back for myself, because the fact that I know what they're doing, um, that works better for me, because now I don't have to stress, because I already know at this point, if it's electronic, it's those who are working in the fusion centers in your area, or those who are living around your space. So I'm not necessarily bothered by it, because I remember when I was living in my apartment before, I didn't have a cable modem or anything. So if they mess with my phone while I was trying to do something, or watch a movie or watch anything, I knew exactly who it was. You know. So um, and they're so busy saying that, oh, he doesn't realize he's about to go to prison, and I'm like, well, I haven't broken any laws, and any laws that try to see if it can throw me in prison or jail, it got to be something new that was created by the cabal themselves, because they're trying to use every facet of government to basically implement and like solidify this tyrannical, yeah, this tyrannical um way of life that they're fastly and grossly putting on everyone. And you know what, yeah, I could really care less. And there, and then I live in an environment where the streets rule, basically. I'll just put it that way. So um what they're doing is basically trying to intimidate me by saying, oh, the streets is watching your memories or your movie. The streets are watching this, the streets are doing this. Here's the thing. I grew up in this environment my entire life. Whether it was in this neighborhood or another neighborhood, I grew up in an environment where I know how most people think and they operate. And one of the reasons why I don't never really have problems with people is because I use my discernment to stay either out of certain places, or I don't affiliate with certain people, or I don't necessarily be around certain places or people for too long, because the more you hang around certain things, eventually something will pop off. And you don't even have to be the person that basically the situation was aimed for. Case in point, rapper Takeoff. He wasn't even a part of the argument. This is just going on something else. He wasn't even a part of the whole argument. He just happened to be there. And then next thing you know, he gets shot for something that he didn't even do and he wasn't even a part of. That's the sad part. So I always just use discernment to I always treat everybody with respect. I always been cordial, been neighborly, been friendly. Nobody's ever had a problem with me before. No, for the most part, I always felt like most people always had respect for me, because I always treat them with respect. And I mean, I don't necessarily have anything that anybody wants. So, and I'm not a flashy person. I'm not even really materialistic like that. But, for the most part, I don't know. It wasn't until I got that apartment at 1490 Boone Avenue. It wasn't until I got that apartment in that building, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, some people had their own little domestic violence situation that made my company disturbed. And then, next thing you know, couple basically some cops were called, and A few months later, all of a sudden, now I'm getting transmissions in my head talking about we're gonna shoot you in your sleep, and then, because I got spooked by it, I went to the hospital thinking I could get some help. Nope, that actually made it worse. So then basically they was like, oh, well, you a snitch for telling the doctors about us. So now you either gonna become a police officer or you're gonna be a snitch for the rest of your life. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is social engineering or this is intimidation, this is coercion. I knew off rip that I was gonna say no. Because there's no way you're going to make me you're going to make me experience all that I experience and then tell me, well, in order for me to save my life or save my family's life or whatever, I need to become a cop. And I'm just thinking to myself, no, because that's how you build a slave. That's how you I am not I am not a slave. Like Kanye said, "Ooh, you know what? Hell, I'll say it. Um, it is a choice. It's a choice. It really is a choice. You could die trying, or you could just go ahead and do what they tell you to do and hope that you just survive it all. I, to be completely honest, I mean, coming from somebody who has a history where I've actually, you know, had bouts with suicide, and I'm talking like really, really young age before I was a teenager. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, and I just got chills. I'm just being real with you. I was like, there's no way I'm going to let someone put the fear of death in my heart, especially with some of the other wild things I used to do just because I just wanted an adrenaline rush or whatever. That was, that that could have jeopardized my life. There's no way I'm going to let someone intimidate me about my life and get me to become their puppet. You can't intimidate someone that actually tried to kill themselves before they were even an adult. You can't intimidate someone like that. You actually just, you actually really just, oh, what's the words I can use? It's like they didn't intimidate me. They actually made me want it. They actually made me want to see them do it or try it. And it's not like I'm a violent person. I'm not a person who gets into confrontation. I'm not someone who I don't even like getting into verbal arguments, because I mean, most of the time I'll just be like, you got it. Knowing I'm right the whole time, I'll just be like, you got it. Because it's a waste of energy. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, I called yeah, I know all that all that. So I called I was on the phone with the Optimum people. They asked and said, do you have an extra Ethernet cord? I said, sure. So I found one. And now before, when I was using the original cord they gave me to connect the modem to the router, it was a gray cord. And it was blinking, and like all the lights were green and the link light was blinking, right? It was blinking green. So I said, okay. So she was like, okay, so replace that cord with the one you have. So then I replaced that cord with another one that I had used on an old um, modem and router that I had in the past. And that one, it started blinking, but it was blinking orange. So then she said, okay, well, since it's blinking orange, take that one out and switch it back to the gray one. So I was like, all right, anyway, we got some technician about to come over on Wednesday to try to see what's going on with it. For the most part, like I said, I am spiritually, mentally, and physically prepared for whatever they're going to throw at me. And I know they're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at me, but in increments, because they have to build it, they have to make it look as clean as possible. If they're going to set me up to go to jail, they got to, you know, track my every movement so then they can, if it has to be, if it has to deal with a specific environment, an event at an environment, they have to make sure that I'm most likely to cross the path of that particular place. So then, if that incident happens, I was actually somewhere physically in that area. Or they can use deep fake technology, using a clone of my voice or a clone of my self, actually, showing in a fabricated video me doing something that I probably never done. Um, or what they'll probably do is they'll probably have, a bunch of fake witnesses and a fake victim come out of nowhere and say that I did something to them, and whatever the case may be, that's how they'll probably set that one up. I don't know. I've been doing quite a bit of research I've been doing quite a bit of research on this thing, and I've been realizing like they got a whole plethora of ways that they'll basically set people up, innocent people who don't even be in certain environments or situations. Like it's just not even in their nature to be in those environments and in places. And you know what? I have come to the realization that I can't hate no one from my past, or I can't dislike anyone from my past who's not seeing my way. Because um one, if they don't know about, secret societies and advanced technologies being used for not just only surveillance but actually manipulation of the human nervous system, if they don't know, and let's just say they don't know and they think I'm probably overreacting or paranoid, I forgive them. If they don't know and they actually just feel scared and don't necessarily want to know because they think it might happen to them just for knowing, I forgive them too. Um, and then for those who do know and they're basically just being quiet about it, I forgive you too, because you don't realize what you're setting yourself up for. And for those who do know about it and um they're basically the ones who are sent to basically tell me, oh, I'm being paranoid, or I need to get help, or I'm not being myself or whatever, because I'm definitely myself. It's just you have no idea what it's like to be attacked in every way, shape, and form of your every existence for 24 hours, 7 days a week. You have no idea what that feels like. I forgive them too, because they have no idea how much stronger I am than they are. So, because in the end, at some point, that dam is going to break. That dam is going to break, and a lot of people are about to have their entire realities shaken and broken. And when their realities are shaken and broken, and there's nothing left for them to be able to use to, band-aid that wound that they never would heal from, or, to basically anything to remedy the emotional traumas that they're about to take on. Because I honestly believe that a lot of them don't really know exactly what is going on. Like right now, I believe a majority of gang stalkers are basically unaware that they are a gang stalker, or they're unaware that they're basically engaging in occult activities. I believe a lot of them are unaware that they are accomplices to human rights violations. I believe a lot of them are unaware that um they're actually partaking in a genocide against innocent people. Like those who are targeted individuals, we are being exterminated. I'm not going to say like those of, World War II. I'm not going to say all that. But I'm going to say we are being exterminated, and then it's being made to look like we're dying of natural causes. Or we're being exterminated, or not even just exterminated. If we don't die, then what they're doing is basically, if they don't kill us, then what they'll do is um have us framed and then falsely imprisoned, or committed and then locked up in some type of psychiatric ward or whatever. Look, I'm gonna just say it just like this: 144,000. God has 144,000 of His strongest, most cherished children on this earth, and that 144,000 is doing everything they can to try to link up with each other and try to see if they can bring the most brightest of God's light on this entire earth. Now the problem is because the cabal has infiltrated just about every government, something has to be done to take that filter off so that we can actually see some of these people for what they really are. Because let's say, no matter where you're working, right? No matter where you are working, let's say 10 people, right? 10 people. Out of those 10 people, I believe at least 6 of them are a part of the occult secret society of gang stalkers. About 6 of them at least. Whether they wanted to be a part of it or not, 6 of them are actually in knowledge of it, and they are working together to basically do whatever they can to either gaslight or um, record any type of information they can gather from the other 4. 6 out of 10. So yeah. Aside from that, I'm doing okay. I mean, what, no Wi-Fi connection? That means, I probably just have to deal with my mother complaining that she can't use the internet. Me, I'm cool. I mean, if I really need the internet that bad, I'll just use my phone data. Now, the only problem is I don't like to use my data when I'm home, because if I could use my Wi-Fi, that's less connectivity to my body. Because what they also are doing, I believe, what they're also doing is forcing our phone to connect to these digital twin cell towers. And these digital twin cell towers are not operated by, our mobile phone carriers, but they're being operated by possibly fusion centers or, whatever other agency of the DoD. And because our phones are linked to our bodies, because the phone sensors are constantly collecting our bioelectric data, converting it to a computerized form, so then somewhere in some remote location, they can basically continue to get better and better cloning representation of our individual cells. But yeah, whatever on that. I know, if anything, I should probably find what where the New York City Fusion Center is located. Then after that, see me, I'm actually hoping I can make it to meeting Amy Hollum. Amy Hollum, she's a former former veteran, I believe, of the U.S. Army. She is doing thermal um, signature scans or thermal. I forgot how to say it, but basically, what she's gonna be able to do for the TIs here in New York City, and she's been going all over the place. I think she just last came from Germany from doing scans out there. But what she can do is she'll take thermal pictures of our body and be able to show where there were scars or any types of marks done to our body. She can even backtrack. She can even find or basically pick up on the signals that's being transmitted to our brains, and then she can backtrack or track the source of where those signals came from, and yeah, and basically give us those reports as like as our evidence. And I'm just like, yo, I can't wait. I'm like, it's supposed to be March. I think it's on my birthday, March 16th. So and then she's actually going to be staying at another TI's home. So I'm just like, hey, can't a TI's home that I've been to several times. So I'm just like, hey, can't get more trusting than that, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, I just basically try to I just try to hang in, y'all. I really do. I just try to hang in. I've literally only been targeted for like, well, at least aware of my targeting for over 2 years. But now I'm actually believing that I probably have been being harassed covertly from different people for probably more than 2 years, maybe much longer. Um and I'm not even gonna lie, like this, there are moments in my life where I think to myself, hey, just thinking all the way back now, I'm like, there are times when I was a child that probably certain things happened to me because of, these pedophile ring, secret society, occult people, so, but it is what it is. Anyway, um yeah, but like I said, I'm doing all right for the most part. I hope everyone is doing well themselves. Please, 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 whatever you do, learn about healing frequencies. I kid you not. I even bought this, and I even bought one of these, and it works. It actually works pretty darn well. Oh, you heard the sound, and voila. Tuning forks. Tuning forks are actually a lot more useful than we think. This is tuned to 528 hertz. The sound alone relieves pressure in my ears. Just the sound alone. I place this against the skin. Now I have the physical or the interference that's being done to the digital exoskeleton that's over our bodies. And remember, it's an exoskeleton of energy and frequencies that's basically covering our entire bodies. That's why the grounding device, the portable grounding piece, is so effective, is because what it does it causes a break or interference in that exoskeleton. It's like imagine you're under a shower, right? But you don't feel that there's water running over your body. You don't feel the water running over your skin. There's an exoskeleton of energy and frequencies that's over our skin. Even just taking my finger and placing it on my skin, something slight like that, I can feel one, what feels like is, so by doing this, I can feel like I just place my hand, I feel like I place my finger in a stream. And by placing my finger in the in on my skin like that, it feels like I just broke or created a break in a stream. Like there's something that's constantly flowing over the outer layer of my skin. Um, I was trying to think. Was there anything else? I think that's pretty much it for now. I'm look, I'm not perfect, but I'm not an offender. And I don't even mean that as in like, oh, I just never been caught. No, I don't. I'm not an offender at all. In any way, I'm not violent. I'm not aggressively sexual. I'm not, pedophilic. I'm I'm literally just a normal working man just trying to like make a way to live in this world, even though the world is so driven by the fallen ones. And I'm talking about Azazel and you know I can't even remember the other ones, Ball and all the other ones. But um I don't even know if you could hear that, but I mean, maybe that's just a coincidence that when I said Azazel and Ball, all of a sudden somebody started screaming outside. But that's probably not even connected at all. But anyway, yeah, and that's another thing too. I know a lot of people may not want to be so into religion, Christianity, and things like that. So, but y'all really need to learn about these deities. Y'all need to learn about these fallen angels, these evil spirits. No matter what culture that you're coming from, every culture has record of beings that came down to earth and have been interacting with mankind, teaching mankind different things or showing mankind how to, become less human. Um and it's funny because through the V2K, they always mention how my willpower, they label it as emotional energy. The fact that I don't necessarily break down, I'm not crying, or I'm not, like cowering in the corner, or I'm not kneeling to their every, whim or anything like that. They're basically trying to say they're trying to discredit God. They're trying to discredit what God has given to me. They're basically trying to say that, oh, well, this is what they actually say. They say, oh, he's emotional about it. He got a lot of emotional energy. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if you are a human being, you're supposed to have emotions. Even animals have emotions. So if you don't have emotions, then what are you? I mean, and then when you think about it from a psychological aspect, a person who is not connected to their emotions is a sociopath or a psychopath. So if you're not connected to your emotions, then yeah, that's my mother. I guess she's probably speaking of optimum, trying to see if she can um let her anger out, basically. But anyway, um, yeah, yeah, he's like he had that nigga got no idea. And but here's the thing. He says this every single day, several times a day. And I just always think to myself, I love how God is allowing them to believe that nothing will ever happen to them. Who is ringing the bell at this time? Anyway, let me go. It could be a gang stalker, so I'll see y'all later. Take like one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. Peace.